My name is Deb Blower, and I'm the RPL Facilitator at Red River College in Manitoba, and I'm also a member of the CAPLA Board of Directors. I'd like to take a few moments to thank those who participated in this year's sponsorship program. Our sponsors include the Nova Scotia Department of Labour and Advanced Education, the Government of Ontario, the Nova Scotia Community College, Workplace PLAR in Manitoba, Yukon Advanced Education, McDonald's Canada, Northwest Territories Education, Culture and Employment, the Government of Saskatchewan, the Government of New Brunswick, St. Mary's University, Mount St. Vincent, and the Greater Halifax Partnership. A sincere thank you to all of those sponsors for this successful conference.
Whoa. I think this has been a great conference myself, but what can I say? When you're on the board, you always want to think that it went well. So hopefully the feedback that you provide for us will tell us what we've done right and what we might want to improve in the future. My name is Diane Gordon, and I am the Manager of Recognition of Prior Learning and Labour Mobility with the Government of Nova Scotia. And it's my pleasure to introduce this closing session of our celebration, actually, of RPL in Canada. Our 2012 Recognizing Learning Award winners are here, and each one will be given an opportunity of sharing some of their RPL achievements, while at the same time providing tricks of the trade and maybe even secrets of their success. I'm going to ask each winner to come forward and to take a little time to say a few words. And really, our recognition of, Recognizing Learning Awards, we often just provide one a year, but this year it was an exemplary group of people who were nominated for this award. So we have chosen to recognize all of them. And the first person who I'll ask to come up is Daphne Lordy from Mount St. Vincent University.
Thank you very much. I've been cold for the last 2 days and now I'm hot. I think most of you know that I work at Mount St. Vincent University here in Halifax. And one of the things we do in my department at the Mount is we train students to become professional dietitians. And dietetics is a regulated profession. So many of the sessions that I've been to in the last 2 days have referenced some of the challenges with regulation. Our students participate in the degree program, then they do a year-long internship program, and then they write their exam, hopefully pass, and are ready for practice. I wanted to talk to you about two initiatives very, very briefly that I'm involved in. The first is the development, and I'm going to say a sustainable bridging program, because some of the comments that I've heard the last 2 days is regarding funding of some of the programs and how do we fund programs, especially small programs. And we are a very small program. We currently have 2 individuals in our bridging program, so how do you sustain such a program? So right now we're developing the program. We have the second part of a grant that we're working with, and we started right from the get-go to think, how can we make this work? The Mount is an interesting university in that in 2000 we had 35 international students at our university. And as of 2011, our count is up to 369. And for a small university, that's fairly significant. So a lot of the learnings that I was taking into the bridging program was related to my experience with students, international students, in the classroom, and just some of their challenges in terms of the cultural challenges and getting to know our systems here in Nova Scotia. So that was in the back of my mind when we were applying for money for bridging, taking that knowledge forward. So we believed that based on information we had collected from our faculty members, from focus groups that we held with our international students, focus groups that we held with practicing dietitians, because you'll remember I said our students go out on internships, so they can give us a lot of really good feedback on what's working well and what isn't. And some of our international students were struggling on internship and required commitment and a significant amount more time to spend developing their competence in dietetics. So what our intent was that we could put together a program that would meet the needs of bridging, internationally educated dietitians that were coming to Canada and looking for some gap training. And we could do that and also offer similar modules to our undergraduate and graduate international students. So that's essentially what our aim is in developing our internationally educated dietitians bridging program. And one of the things that I would have to say in terms of learning as we've been going through that program development, and I've heard it said several times already today, is not reinventing the wheel. So I've just been exposed just in these 2 days to wonderful programs that are happening in Nova Scotia that I didn't realize were happening, and also in other parts of Canada that I think we can tap into. I know that we are looking into a dietetic-specific pre-assessment program that's being run in BC. So because we don't have a lot of money, why should we try to develop our own? We'll be looking to BC and hoping to get their support to tap into their program. The other piece of advice that I would talk about in relationship to my experience with that, the development of the internationally educated dietitians bridging program, is to think boldly and to think broadly. I don't think we would have ever been able to come up. I don't think we would have ever been bold enough to think that we could have come up with the internationally educated program without seeing it in the bigger scheme of things. If we had just looked at it as this sort of one-time program, we would never have had the amount, we would never have the man and woman power or the money to sustain it. But we thought creatively, we massaged it a bit, and we feel that actually it will be sustained by partnering it up with another program that is very sustainable. The other thing I wanted to share with you is I think interesting work that I'm doing from the research perspective. I'd like to say that I'm in the final stages, I hope, of my doctoral degree. It started in 2003. And it wasn't until I'm on sabbatical right now, and it wasn't until I was 2 months into my sabbatical that I suddenly realized I spent the last how many years beating myself up because I just couldn't get it finished. And then I realized I couldn't get it finished because I was also chair of the department, and I was also publishing here, there, and everywhere, and I was trying to be a mother, and I was trying to be all these things. And I've gotten so much work done since I started my sabbatical that I am hopeful that by December it'll be finished. Anyway, the title of my research is Dietetics PLA, What Counts as Dietetic Knowledge? And it's been a wonderful journey, and maybe because it's been a long journey, it's allowed me a lot of time to think about my work. I used a methodology, and I'm not sure if you would be familiar with it, but it's called institutional ethnography, and it's been developed by Canadian sociologist Dorothy Smith. So I'm coming at it in a very different way. I'm not getting questionnaires filled in. I'm not asking people about their experience per se, but I was motivated to find out why it was so difficult for my profession, regulated dietitians, to accept prior learning experience. And again, I'm sitting in a university seat and I'm seeing all of this wonderful experience, and we're doing it at the Mount. Why isn't everybody else doing it? So the way I approached my research was to ask questions of the structure of our profession. We are bound by health professions legislation and dietitians acts. We have an accredited program, so dietitians come in and look at our programs every 7 years with their clipboards, and we could lose accreditation if we don't do things just right. And I think that that weighs very heavily on what comes to count as dietetic knowledge. And what my research showed was that that a hierarchy of knowledge exists within our profession, with abstract, objective, documentable knowledge very highly valued, and the more embodied, subjective knowledge less so. So interestingly enough, where our profession is grounded in food, knowledge of food and working with food and what we do with food and food as a healer is less valued than the knowledge that dietitians working in an ICU would use and utilize. And that was very interesting to me. I also, one of the findings was that PLA disrupts the established processes that are so ingrained in the work that we do. And I say ingrained because we train dietitians who go on to train dietitians who go on to train dietitians. And the same structures have been in place for as long as I've ever practiced dietetics. So, again, just picking two learnings for me as I've been moving through this work. The first learning is to ask different types of questions. Oftentimes when we do research, we seem to ask the same questions over and over. It's just different people asking the questions. And the other thing I would like to challenge you to do is to recognize the importance of investigating taken for granted practices. So much of what we do, we just take for granted, and we never ask why. So that is my little bit of nugget of wisdom after how many years of working in my research. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daphne. And so the next person that I would like to come up here is Dr. Lorna Martin. She's the president of the Canadian Counselling and Psychotherapy Association, and we'll get her to give some of her trade secrets and PLAR nuggets.
My first task is to thank all of you, to thank CAPLA for honoring the work of a pan-Canadian team of people that invested their volunteer time to create something that was outside the box. So here's what I need to tell you. The project is the national standard assessment for the counseling and psychotherapy profession. It's bilingual. It's computer-based. It's simulation style. Think about choose your own adventure, and that's the experience of taking the test. It does not have a large scenario that prohibits people that have reading difficulties from understanding what's the concept, what's going on here. And it has two components. The first component is a self-assessment taken in the privacy of your own home. No dignity questions, no time constraints, no strange place to go, no geographic constraint, no big snowstorm that's preventing you from getting to the place where everybody else is. You don't have to meet a stranger. You take it online. It replicates precisely what your test-taking experience will be when you actually take the entry to practice test. So you also have now familiarity with the platform. And you've done it in a calm, relaxing environment with your favorite cup of tea. And the lovely thing is, when you finish the assessment, because it's computer-driven, automatically generated is your report. And your report doesn't give you a score. That means what? What it gives you is a report. And the report says, here are your areas of strengths. based on the competencies that were assessed. And here were the gaps that were detected. And from each of those gaps, a link. Here's where you can go for more information. Here's where a webinar is. Here's where you can find people that provide information on this. Here are some associations you might want to connect with. You can take the test. You can take the self-assessment component of the test anywhere around the globe at any time in a secure way with privacy and dignity. So my advice to you, thank you first of all to the Government of Canada for funding us. The Foreign Recognition Program, without them, we couldn't have done it. They were brilliant with us. They allowed us to think outside the box so much we forgot where the box was. We were looking at competency-based, simulation-style, computer-generated. This is 2012. Einstein said, if you want the definition of insanity, it is to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So why would we go multiple choice, short answer, when we know brain theory tells us that the human mind excels in narratives? So let's make a narrative. So the project hooked all of those things we knew about the brain, everything we knew about our subject matter, put them together with psychometrics and the advent of computer technology so that it was possible to very quickly get a test result, have a platform that didn't feel like a test, and that allowed people the flexibility across Canada and around the world to make decisions. Am I ready for entry to practice? Do I have the skills, the knowledge, the attributes that I need to have in order to be able to provide good service delivery? And to all regulatory colleges and other persons that wanted to use this platform, they had authenticity, credibility, as well as reliability, validity, and fairness. That was key for us. We've seen so many tests that are valid, fair, and reliable. That's great, that's wonderful. But in this day and age, what do we really need? What is my advice to you? To each according to their skill and to each according to their talent. Use your subject matter experts for the skill areas that they are so honed to provide. Use facilitators whose skill is in facilitation to bring them together. Find the psychometrist to work on the psychometric properties of it. And together as a team, you end up with a product that is authentic, credible, valid, reliable, and fair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorna. That was wonderful. Are we writing down our nuggets? These are great nuggets. Next, I'd like to welcome Grant MacTavish from the Saskatchewan Institute of Applied Science and Technology.
Thank you very much. I would first of all like to thank Greg Sowak from the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology for the nomination. SIAST is very proud to be acknowledged in this way, and we have a long history of working in the field of prior learning assessment and recognition and have built significant capacity. And just to give you a thumbnail sketch for the 7 or 8 of you that haven't heard about it yet, we have about 100 of 160 programs have some level of prior learning assessment built into them. We have about 800 courses that can be accessed through our PLAR database. We have 35 groups of courses that are available for prior learning assessment through a block transfer or block prior learning assessment process. 8 of our programs offer total prior learning assessment as an option. The model that was built at SIAST was based on an integrated model. And I do want to, at this point, give recognition to Kim Orniak, who many of you in the room will know. She was the icebreaker in our world. She was talking about this PLAR thing when most of us had no idea what she was talking about. And in 1996, she commandeered our management to a policy on prior learning assessment. She was very tenacious in that process, so I really want to acknowledge her work. And from the beginning, the model was, this is part of the process. This isn't a separate thing we do. This is part of what we do in recognizing all learning. In building our PLAR capacity at SIAST, we've tried to adhere to good quality practices. We've participated in research, and those of you that I'm sure are familiar with the quality assurance prior learning assessments for institutions, to Kim Orniak and Shirley Amachand at the back, both participate in that study, and Shirley constantly reminds me about it as well, and how important it is to adhere to those principles. What we've done in our system that's a little different than many, we provide advisory services, but we do it through our counseling services office, so we've built on an existing structure. Faculty develop and conduct the assessments. The role that the RPL office provides is we develop methods, we work with programs to develop their prior learning assessment, we provide feedback on the process, but most of all we've developed some really valuable templates to make the job easier. And so to increase the capacity, we've moved forward on the principle, if you make it easy for people to do it, it's more likely to be embraced. Some of the other things that our office does to provide to support programs and counselors, we do workshops, advisory sessions for our advisors, we do training on authentic assessment for our faculty. We've gone external to our institution in a number of initiatives. We've worked with industry associations to help them develop prior learning assessment processes using our templates, but building on their occupational profiles so that they can conduct prior learning assessment within their workplaces. We had the privilege of working with the Alberta PLAR Action Plan and helping Alberta build their capacity within the institutions. We conducted workshops, training, and had, like, I believe it's over 50 students from Alberta enrolled in our practitioner program through that initiative. And it was so great being here at the conference and getting to meet some of the students because our courses are all offered by distance. So I only knew them as an email address and sometimes a voice at the end of the phone. So it was really exciting to meet a few of our students through that process. So I mentioned our many resources that we've developed. We have templates that are very useful, not just in prior learning assessment, but also in transfer credit. We've developed templates for articulation agreements, MOUs, and letters of renewal and so on for transfer credit. So one of the things that we decided to do this year, and part of the award is around recognizing and building capacity. So we were hoping to have our website ready by the conference. Unfortunately, technology doesn't always move as fast as we want. But by the end of November, we're going to have a website up that's referred to or entitled Assessing, Advising, Articulating, and Recognizing. On that website are going to be documents that I just mentioned, our templates, some of our guides to developing authentic assessment, and so on. So I will be sending out a note. Once the website goes live, I'll send everyone who is registered at the conference notification and a link to that website. So we believe that will be a tremendous resource for institutions across Canada and across the world, perhaps. So I know I had the privilege of working in the Caribbean earlier this fall, and I know that they're hungry for so many of the resources we have. So I guess it's not just Canada, but I think it's the world as well. So again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Grant. Our next award winner is Champlain College Saint-Lambert, maybe. And Andy Brown is going to offer us some insight into their program.
good afternoon, everybody. It's a great honour to be standing here. I'm in place of my, standing in for my colleague Geneviève. She apologises, she couldn't make it this afternoon. Geneviève started our PLAR services at Champlain 3.5 years ago. It landed on her desk. Okay, there you go, your dossier now. 3 days a week. Since that time, it's been quite a journey. We're now a team of 13 people. We have 44 content specialists. We have 398 clients as of last Friday, and 71 graduates in different college attestation programs. So, how did we get here? And this is I think my first piece of advice, or potential advice, is seek out the expertise that is already available to you and use it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah? Try and build partnerships with as many different organizations as you can. So we didn't go from no candidates, no clients, and 3 days a week to 13 staff by ourselves. There's a few little thank yous I have to give here. First of all, the Ministry of Education and Leisure in Quebec, incredibly supportive. Seek out the expertise that's already there. We've partnered with or learnt from the expertise, fantastic work at CEGEPs like Marie-Victorin, Maison Neuf, Vanier. We looked at what these other CEGEPs, these other community colleges, so the services they were providing, and we learnt from those people, the expertise that was already there. We got fantastic support from the administration of the college, and I think it's important to get buy-in from your administration. Yeah? If you don't get the buy-in and the support from the administration, and obviously all the other people as well, the faculty, you need to get buy-in. You need to sell them on it, otherwise it's much more difficult to deliver your services. Go to conferences. Go to CAPLA every year. Yeah? And listen to the wealth of expertise that's out there. I've learnt so much in the last couple of days, and I've got so many ideas that I'm thinking about applying to the services that we have at Champlain. So I'd like to say thank you to all of you for all the ideas and support you've given me. Look at the work that's going on in PLAR in the rest of Canada. Yeah? Look at Deb's crew at Red River College. Look at Grant and the work they're doing at SIAST. Again, don't reinvent the wheel. Look at what's out there. Look at what people are doing. Learn from them. Apply that to your own particular context. I think one of the potentially the reasons of our services are successful at Champlain is how we have a few key words that we live by every day. Accessibility, flexibility, validity. Yeah. We need to make our services accessible, we need to make them flexible, and adapt them to our different clienteles. So we provide services in the evenings and on Saturdays for people that work full-time. So they can get recognition for their knowledge and skills, but they can carry on with a job. We have intensive services that range over a period of 12 weeks to 17 weeks full-time, where immigrants mainly, or people that are unemployed, can get intensive PLAR services that allow them to get back into the workforce as quickly as possible. Get their skills recognised, their knowledge recognised, fill in the gaps in their knowledge and skill base, and then get them back into the workforce. We've worked with businesses, so the businesses don't come to us, we go to them, and we deliver our services within the businesses. We've gone one step further. We have one project with a First Nation community in the north of Quebec, where we fly into the community to deliver our services. Yeah, again, we're trying to make our services as accessible and adaptable as possible. So I think that's about all I have to say now. Again, I would just like to reiterate, use the expertise that's already out there and build on the superb work that's already been done on others and adapt it to your own particular context and to your clientele's specific learning and training needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andy, and thank you for stepping in and filling Genevieve's shoes. As the lights go down in here, I seem to get younger and younger. I always say the lower the lights, the younger I look, so there is one benefit to that. And thank you for all hanging in the dark. Our last and not least award winner is from the Canadian Tourism and Human Resource Sector Council. I'd like you to welcome Phil Mondor.
Well, thank you so much. I do want to, on behalf of the board of the Canadian Tourism Human Resource Council, and on behalf of the thousands of industry participants that we've had over the last 20-some years that have contributed to the body of programming, thank you for this award. In the end, it really is because of all of their contributions that we end up where we are today. And there's, of course, so much more work to be done. And also up front, I want to thank the Government of Canada because the body of work that we've been able to accomplish has really only been because they've had the foresight and the funding around the Sector Council program to get us to where we are. So let's hope that we can continue this into the future, but it will bring with it some continued challenges. Our council has been around since the early 90s, and there was actually a working committee prior to that. And today we are very proud to say that we have some 29 certification programs. They are pan-Canadian, available in both French and English. They've been around for quite some time, and in the last few years we've been branching out and starting to do international work around our competency setting activities and our certification programs. And we've been viewed as leaders in the field on that front and have been able to, as an example, in our last international standard, have every continent represented with more than 140 subject matter experts setting an international standard. And now the credential for that program is well underway in its piloting phases. And this to us is really a bit of an example of where the work has led us in terms of worrying about improving on the learner and labor mobility in our sector and helping people thrive. Really, the way I look at it and what I often say to our staff is in the way we're in the business of changing lives and enriching lives, our job is just to help make that a little more clear and to find the tools to get there to help them do it. And in our sector in particular, when you think from a sectoral point of view, it always feels a bit daunting because the scale and scope of activity always looks amazing when you're thinking of 1.7 million workers and all these other big numbers. But in the end, it gets right down to just really daily practical things that you focus on. From my point of view, I know that in my role, I worry about program quality. I think that's my job in the end. I go there every day, and that's what I focus on. And I think about stuff that makes quality happen. And we've heard it from some of the panelists, but collaboration, partnerships are a big part of it. The leadership, the coordination activities. And most importantly, I think it's looking beyond your own doors, looking beyond your own borders. We're very big on looking at what's happening elsewhere and looking at what that means in our context and trying to benefit from those opportunities and in a big way also try to contribute to them. We have a lot of lessons learned, a lot of trodden paths done, and sharing it makes a difference. You get enriched from it. Which my last point is, I think the only way that we can succeed collectively is if we all focus on our own professional development. We're in the business of doing that, but we actually have to worry about it ourselves, and I don't think we get enough of those opportunities. To that point, I want to say thanks to CAPLA this year. I mean, to me, this has been a very important CAPLA event, and it's brought a lot of enrichment in what I'm doing. But I can also, I've heard it from many others, and as a board member, I got the privilege of hearing some of that. So, just again, thank you, Bonnie. It's been fantastic, and let's hope we can do this many more times. Thanks.
And thank you very much to all of our award winners for coming and speaking to us and sharing their knowledge and expertise with us. And I actually think, Phil, that was the shortest amount that you've spoken for the whole 3 days that I've been here. Oh, and I'm sure that all of you know that an event like this takes months of planning and organization and hard work by many people. On behalf of all of you, I would like to express our appreciation to all of our keynote speakers, the Conversation Cafe presenters, our facilitators and workshop presenters who took the time and effort to make this conference a success. Thank you. I want to make sure that we thank our sponsors again, but I'd also like to make sure that you all know that without Bonnie sitting here in the front of the row, organizing things from behind the stage, calling me 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week, to ensure that all the little bits and pieces are all put together and that we have the right mix of conference presenters, the right mix of people that are here attending, and really thank you so much, Bonnie, and thank you from all of us on the board and from all of us here at the conference. We really appreciate your work. And also, we have another team, our logistical team, of Alexa McGill and Allison Russell. And I don't see Alexia in the room. There she is, Alexia. She needs a special round of applause. This event marks the 11th year that CAPLA has worked with agenda managers, and there have always been lots of laughs that go along with her extraordinary professionalism. Please join me in thanking Alexia for all the work that she's done to make this an excellent conference. Come up here, Alexia.
I've been called from Bonnie more than 3 or 4 times.
And I'm really, really glad. And finally, I would like to thank all of you, the participants, for your interest in the recognition of prior learning and the work that's being done across the country to refine this practice and to enrich what happens for adult learning in Canada. Your willingness to engage in discussions, raise issues, and share your work with others will move the RPL agenda forward in ways that will benefit all of us, Canadians, new Canadians, potential Canadians. Thank you. I wish you a safe journey home and hope that you'll join us next fall at the CAPLA conference in Toronto. And I see there are a few last evaluations being collected over here, and remember to put your name into the bucket, because as soon as that's done, I will draw the name, and hopefully it's not mine, and then we'll close up for the afternoon. And once again, thank you all for your participation. Have a safe journey home. Good night.